Utie oha echi ponkno. Needs FM.
Good. So, are you satisfied with the preparations that we've done so far to face the coronavirus?
I think the preparations are ongoing, but my concern is the pace. I think that in the beginning, the urgency of the issue was not clear to the government, and therefore the release of funds at the right time and appropriately was kind of, I believe, slow, which affected the way in which some of the measures which should have been were implemented. So, but it's quite clear now that Ghana Health Service is up to steam, and the Ministry of Health are trying their best now to bring everything in order. I still think that the public education side is still on the downside, and then getting enough facilities in terms of like buckets where you can have running water in various strategic public areas so that people can wash their hands, and the water should be running, should become the norm as we had when the Ebola crisis came. Bear in mind, we've prepared for this in the past with the Ebola crisis. It should have been, if the plans had been followed that existed, we should have been way ahead of the game at this point. But at least it's clear now that they are trying to do a lot now.
Okay. Yesterday, the president addressed the nation about our preparedness towards this killer disease. You think is a headway, right?
Well, my view is that, as I said, the urgency of the issue is now coming to the fore. But for me, when the amounts of money that was going to be made available was mentioned, namely 100 million, the first thing that came to my mind is that where is the evidence that the 2-point-something million or so that was initially to be used was made available? Because from what I am seeing, some of this money, yes, some things had gone on. The screening at the airport and centers have been upgraded. Some equipment has been ordered. Yet, nobody, anytime you ask them, do you have enough money? All they say is, well, when we want something, we go and ask, we get it. It's not a question of the money was paid into the Ministry of Health or any ministry for that matter, and therefore you can safely say this amount of money. And one of the things that was mentioned in Parliament when the amount that was mentioned was that was not what was asked for. They asked for a lot more. And secondly, even if you're given 2-point-something million, it shouldn't go through the normal financial gift mix process, which takes forever before the money actually arrives. So please kindly get it expedited. So if for that little amount of money, the things haven't been expedited, and now we talk of 100 million, the amount is a good amount to work with, but something must have happened to have triggered that amount. Somebody must have done some calculation to say, well, to start with, we need 100 million, or we should pump 100 million into this. What were the factors that went into it? Inform us, because historically, the government has created mistrust in the minds of Ghanaians when they promise things, because either the promise is not fulfilled, or when the promise is done differently from what people understood the promise to be. So we want to just be clear that this 100 million is available to which ministries, how much, and when is the money going to actually be paid into this thing, because we need the money to actually help, especially now where for me the most important factor, as I've said, is education on hygiene, and then the actual getting water and issues to the ministries, to the schools. They have to give them money to buy these huge buckets which you can put water in, and then there's a tap at the bottom where you can wash your hand and then dispose of it. Make sure there's soap around there so that there's always running water. And where do we get this water from? And this has to be nationwide. So when people in Western region are saying they don't have water, how do we get water to them? All these things are very important. So the money must be released. It's not just saying I have given instruction to the minister to do so. We want to see that it's actually been done.
But if you suggest that the money should be released, does it mean that we should release the money in bulk to the ministry, or what?
No, I mean, you release the money to the ministries that need it. You have mentioned the money in bulk. So you must say, at least we want to know, why can't the Minister of Health come out and say, look, of the 100 million that we are promised, we've got 25 million in our accounts to start with. Ministry of Works and Housing may come out, or Sanitation may come out and say we've been given 10 million, or Ministry of Education to help with the education process, and therefore we are going to start we are going to work, because there is a multi-ministerial group that should have been formed or exist to deal with. It's not one ministry that has the full responsibility. So each ministry that has a part to play, local government, health, as I said, possibly works and housing, environment, all of them have a part to play in educating our people and getting certain infrastructure and even communication, because you need to make sure that the jingles are out there and they are going to the right stations in the right languages. So it's a lot to be done, and therefore I would want to hear from the ministries at least that we've received this amount of money to help us with this, and not that, we are the money, when we need money we'll get it, and that, no, that is not, for me, that is the biggest issue.
Utie Oha Echi Pongno Needs FM.